Okay, boss. So we have seen about COPA extraction, generic, and then LO cockpit. Now within this business content extractions, any other extraction apart from LO, it's a simple procedure. Like LO, we have a lot of customization, all this, but if you look at any other extractors like FI, CO, HR, CRM, anything, we are focusing on that. How do we do? Straightforward, it's like two steps. Just identify the data source. Whenever you want to extract data for FI or controlling or HR, profit center, anything like this, it will be, you just have to identify the data source. Now go to the T code water. In ECC, just for every others, it is all ready-made business content data source. Just go to RSA5 and expand R3. Any data source, let's say you want to go with, say, controlling something. Controlling, OM, let's say I want to go with cost center accounting, let's say expand. You'll have all ready-made data source. Let's say I want to extract data from this 0 CO, OM, CC and 9. Select this and say activate data source. Okay. After activating, if you want to do any customizations, normally if you double click, you have ready-made extract structure, everything is given. Okay, if you are not happy with the fields, you have to go with a data source enhancement only. There is no maintenance, nothing like this. So if you want to do anything to this data source, you go to what is RSA6 and you customize it. We'll see that how do we enhance all this. But in RSA6, you customize the data source. After installing in RSA5, you can double select this, you can say change and do some, if you want to hide some fields, let's say change. Let's say I wanted to hide some of these fields, you can hide in here. But if you want to add some new fields, it is data source enhancement. Clear on this? Yeah. And once it is done, you start replicating this into what? BW. Try to replicate with ISFS, connect that to the 3.x info source, connect to the target, then migrate the complete data and start loading it. So then what is the delta mechanism for these extractors? For any of the standard, there is no standard setup tables, statical setup, nothing. Straightforward, you replicate, connect the target, start running in it, it starts giving you data. And for all these extractors, the delta mechanism would be timestamp. Now it will be there will be some backend table where it does maintain all those timestamps of the data source. You know what is timestamp, right? For all this data source, it maintains BW OM2 underscore TIM. It's not BM, BW. BW, sorry, ECC lo, it will maintain this timestamps. See, these are the tables which it does use for timestamp. Look at this. Timestamp table for what? What is this? For delta extraction. So this is a table which will have all the timestamps of the data sources. See, the 9 was already initialized. This is full actually. But you see the timestamps being set. Say I was telling you, for generic extraction timestamp, you see the previous delta status in where? RSS7, right? For these extractors, the FI or CO, look at this, FI, AR, for any of this, you would see the timestamp set up in this table, BWOM underscore TIM EST. You can see the timestamp of the previous load. Let's say you run the init. It sets up some timestamp here. Then when you run delta in the next, after 2 hours, this timestamp will be lower limit, the current timestamp will be higher limit. Like this, it maintains the delta timestamps in this table. BW, it's not 0, OM2 underscore TIM VST bus. This is a table. And if you want, you can also provide, you understood about safety. Means, for example, let's say you run init at 9 o'clock. When you run delta at 11 o'clock, then it has fetched from what? 9 to 11. Again, when you run at 1 o'clock, 11 to 1 o'clock now. But when I'm running at 1 o'clock, I want 1 hour, I want it to go 1 hour back and then extract so that I don't miss any records. Then that is what we set it up with safety. Look at this. It's O, yeah. What is this here? Safety time during timestamp determination. If you go into this, it's actually view, but ultimately it uses that same table, BWOM to timestamp. No database view exists. You can see this table, but this table will have data source and what is the safety time, whether it is 2 hours. When I say 2 hours, then what happens? When you run delta at 1 o'clock, instead of fetching from 11 to 1, it fetches from 9 to 1. It will go 2 hours back and then fetches. So BWOM to underscore timestamp is one table, BWOM to underscore safety is one table. Did you understand this? But whenever you are working out with any of these extractors, standard extractor, FI, CO or something, they work delta based on the timestamp only. And all the timestamp, the delta load timestamps can be observed from BWOM to underscore TIM STM, and you can also set up the safety interval with this table. Okay, but the point here is, the important point here is, they don't generally use delta. In some data sources, they don't do delta at all. They do normal full upload. So you can do normal delta with timestamp. They have that flexibility, but they don't do delta, and they implement a concept called pseudo delta. They implement a concept called pseudo delta. What does it mean? Now look at this now. Try to understand this concept. Especially for 0 COOM CCA 9, then if you can understand this concept, then you can enable anything. You can understand anything. SAP ECC, SAP BW. Okay. What they do? Look at this. They have two options. One is they can do delta with timestamp, or other way of, say, ultimately what is that you want to do? Why is it you are doing delta? You don't want to bring all the records every time, right? At the same time, you don't want to miss the records also, right? So what they do, instead of doing normal init and then delta, they can simulate delta with full uploads itself. Look at this, what do they do? Now let's say, what is this month now? April, right? Okay. Let's say, today's date is April. Let's say they start their business in April. Today's date is what? Let's say April 1st, okay? On April 1st, they create 10 transactions. Let's say you're trying to load every day evening 6 o'clock. Every day trying to load at evening 6 o'clock. How many records I've got now? 10 records, okay. Now what I'll do in BW, all the flow is formulated. In the info package, I'll say full update, data selection as current month. Do you know how to write a dynamic code in the info package for data selection as current month? Yes. Then how many records will it bring when I run this full upload? Remember, you're running this at every day evening 6 o'clock, okay? I'm saying current month is April bus. Assume the date is April 1st now. On April 1st, from morning 9 o'clock till evening 6 o'clock, they create 10 postings. And in the BW, I'm running my info pack with full upload as current month. How many records will it bring in? 10 records to BW, okay? Then again, on 2nd April, they created 15 more transactions. Again, I'll run my info pack with full upload. What? Data selection is what? Current month. How many records will it bring? 25, right? While before loading, what I'll do? Delete data in the cube. I'll not delete everything. I'll say delete data in the cube where my month is April and there is an option where you can say delete date in the queue which is loaded with the request which selections as April. Let's say now you are loading with April bus. So delete date in the target with April selections only. Then what happens now? Are those 10 deleted bus? Then how many loaded now? 25. Let's say like this, they have been posting. Now let's say date comes up to what? 30th April bus. Okay? On 30th April, let's say from morning 9 o'clock to evening 6 o'clock, again they create some 8 transactions. Again you will say delete the data in the queue with April what? With April data, 25 is deleted. Then what? Again you perform this full load. With current month, how many it happens now? 15 or 23, 33 records will come. Okay? April 31st is the 31st. So now the month is closed. Okay? But now my point, that is closed. But my point is, at what time did you run this load? Evening 6 o'clock. Let's say on the same day, after evening 6 o'clock, they create some 4 transactions like 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock on the same day. Okay, next day is what? Let's say 1st May. On the 1st May, they create 6 transactions. Now, what is the info package now? Info package full update with the data selection is what? Current month. Current month means now what will happen? It will be triggering May or April? May. So how many records come and will it delete this 33? No. The info package selection is May, but this data was loaded with selection as what? April. I will only delete data in the queue when the selection is same. Right? So this was loaded with selection as April, so I will not delete them. So I will load with what now? May. 6 records will come into queue. So did I bring this May records? But only thing is we are missing out this April records. Yes or no? We are missing out this April records. Okay, I understood this. Then what I will do? I will be running this info package with current month every day. Okay. I will have one more info package with full update with data selection as previous month, which will run on first day of every month. This will run only on first day or second day, depending on the requirement. Second day of the month. So on May 1st is okay. On May 2nd, let's say they create 5 more transactions. When this info package triggers, what happens? It will delete the 6 and loads what? 5. And when this info, since it is second day of the month, this info package will run with what selections first? With what selections first? April. So April means what? Will it delete this 33? When loading April, it deletes April data and then what? 33 plus 4, 37 records are loaded. Now did I miss any records? No. And once this month is done, this period is closed. They will say period is closed, means there will be no more postings into April. Generally, business chapter. Once the period is closed, they cannot do any postings into it. But still, to do some adjacent postings, we will be still doing some postings to the April month till 4th day of the next month also. అంటే మే 4th వరకు ఏదో ఒకటి అడ్జస్ట్మెంట్ చేస్తూనే ఉంటాం అంటాను. అప్పుడు ఏం చేస్తాం? ఐ విల్ రన్ దిస్ ప్రీవియస్ మంత్ లోడ్ ఆన్ వాట్? ఆన్ 4th డే ఆఫ్ ది మంత్. దట్ ఈస్ వాట్ ఇన్ ద రియల్ టైమ్ దే కాల్ ఇట్ మంత్ ఎండ్ లోడ్స్ అంటారు. దే సే డ్యూరింగ్ మంత్ ఎండ్ వీ హ్యావ్ సమ్ ఎక్స్ట్రా లోడ్స్ అంటే ఇది ఎక్స్ట్రా లోడ్స్. And business will tell you clearly for month they will not do reporting on April when they are in April. When they are in the May, they will do reporting for April. During month of May, they will be running reports for April. So they will say the reporting on April should be open by 5th day of every month. So by 4th day, they have to get loaded, critical loads. By at any cost, you must have the data loaded of April on by 4th day of May. So from 5th day, user can start seeing those reports. You getting what I am saying? Then they start analyzing what was my cost, what was my allocations, what was my budgets for this month, how was it manipulated. That's it. So for example, cost center accounting, 0 CC and 9 what I gave you, what that gives you actuals. Total what was the cost and how was it allocated and what was the budget, what was the variance. Did you understand this? This is called a pseudo delta. So basically you should start getting these thoughts. See, delta is a concept where you're trying to reduce the duplicate records into BWs. Can this also be considered as delta only? But this is not actually delta update. It's full upload, but it's still controlling with selections. That is what we call it as pseudo delta. You're still doing normal info pack with full, but not controlling not to have duplicate records. That's what we call it as pseudo delta mechanisms. So for most of the standard extractors, you do with FI, AR, AP, GL, you do normally need delta. But for cost center accounting generally, where you have the concept of period getting closed and period getting open, you also deal this kind of mechanism also. Right? So now the point is, how do we delete the date and the queue with same selections? Yes or no? Actually, when we were working out with 3.x flow, this 3.x kada. I know this doesn't work out, but no active one. Some 3.x data source I want. Yes, 7 on. Did we have any 3.x data sources? Yeah, there are some data sources like this. I'm saying create info package. If it is 3.x, now let's say I give country as India. Whenever I load, if the cube has got India data, it has to delete that India and then load this. Then what you'll do, you go to data targets tab, then target connection later. Cal day, month, country, something. And let me connect this to some target so that you will have that. I should update rules. I know some fields if it's getting mapped, I don't know. Corrected right now. This ODS kada. So now if I go to my data sources, now if you go to info package, selection is India. If you go to data targets, I have option select the cubes. 3.x allowed there. In 3.x, info package was used to load it to my target completely. Then I can say load it to this cube. If you just click on this button, look at this. So before loading, delete existing requests where my selections are. What is this? Overlap. Let's say now I load with India. If there is any request in the queue with India is already loaded, then that request is deleted. If I load my info package with India selection, if there is a request in the queue with India selection, that will be deleted. So same works out with April and May. When you run with April, it will be deleting only request which is loaded with April selection. When run with May, it will only delete the request which is loaded with which selection? May. So delete the existing requests in the queue where selections are overlapping. This is a property we used to enable in 3.x when you want to delete the overlapping selections. Why? Because in 3.x, info package was able to load it to my target bus. Right? But in 7, do we have that? This tab itself is not enabled at all, because my info package will not load it target. Info package will load it only till what? DSO, sorry, PSA. Yeah. So if you want to control this delete overlapping selections, how do we control in BA7? If it is 7 flow, okay, boss? If you go to process change, activate generator, you should have delete overlapping selections. Yeah. What is this tab here? So as of BSM, we don't have that property in the info package. You have to start using this process called what? Delete overlapping request from the queue. Ask me what DTP, info package or DTP. If you just give info package name and say use delete selections from the queue, or use delete selections from the queue from info package, or delete all queue from where delete selections. Now delete existing requests where selections are what? So I can control through the process type in the info package. Clear in this? But did you understand this? Keep deleting the overlapping selections, and then even with flat file. Does your flat file support delta bus? Does your flat file support delta? No. Even your DB connect will not support delta bus. So what they do, when it doesn't support delta, they don't sit quiet and then they don't keep doing full loads. They try to restrict the data volume by using some selections. Let's say I'm extracting data from a DB connect, from Oracle database, but Oracle DB connect does not support delta at all. Okay, then what I'll do, let's say when I analyze a table, I have a column called, let's say, change a date or change a timestamp. I use that field in the timestamp, in the data selection. I'll just try to give 2 days or 3 days and keep loading. Then what happens? I keep bringing only 2 days or 3 days and keep overwriting the data in what? ODS. Getting what I'm saying? So whenever you see some data source which does not support delta, you don't have to get discouraged. You have to start thinking some options through which you can use data selections and restrict the data not being increasing the volume. You try decreasing the volume what is coming into BW by implementing using the concept of data selections. First data source delta unda chuskuntam. Delta unta okay. Delta lekapothe uri istatharam full kottamu. We'll start understanding the logic of the table and come out with some logic through which you can reduce the data volume what is brought into BW by using data selections of the info package. Now let's say flat file bus. Every day that they are giving same file with huge amount of data being added, then what I can say, suppose if I can find out the date on which the record is created, can I use that in the selection? Even the file has got millions of transactions, does it only extract the current date's transactions only? Yes or no? That is what you should start getting the thought. Okay. So how did I get this thought of doing this kind of stuff? Ante now when you see, what you have to do is in the real time, whenever you're working out with some data source, you have to come here and read detailed information about this data source, then start working on it, because there might be some business data source which needs some specific settings. We don't know. No one can know everything. Okay, so what you do, you get into this link, get into B content and content extensions, get into BA content, ERP central component. Let's say you want to go with financials, controlling, right? Financials. Then what? Controlling. Let's say overhead cost controlling. Under this here, what is this here? Cost center accounting. Because I'm trying to deal with data source of this here. Go to the data sources. Sorry, could not find this page. Why is this? cost center cost, actuals and allocations, cost, actual cost through delta X. See, this is your data source 0 CO. See, with what, for every business content data source, you'll have business content info source. Like go to the details and start running. They will give you from which tables this extractor is bringing COSP and COSS tables. For more how the delta works, in just click on this link and start reading the delta. This info, so but I don't know why it is not opening up for the data sources. Following places might also be a good starting point. Could not find a page. So actually, when you expand data, you should see all the data sources. When you click in, it will show the fields. What should be the logic of delta? If there is some specific note, OSS note to be read about this before you implement it, whatever, all the information about delta mechanism is maintained in this OSS note. So what happens? SAP documents every information as part of OSS note. Okay. So if I could have opened this, that would have been better. But let me see if I can get some, at least the old one. Technology. Business warehouse. I'll go with the old one, at least old content. It's a BI content. Some other, see, yesterday someone asked me, how do you know that 0IC-C03 is what I should use? And when I go to this will tell me clearly about, suppose if I go to BI content, let's go to finance. At least financial accounting, if I have something. Let's say I want to go with GL accounting. General ledger accounting new. See, if I go to cubes, general accounting cube, data flow ela undal, business connect flow it gives you exactly. Okay. Now if you go to cubes, you can see what is cubes and you can get into data sources. Accounting. Sorry, boss. Normally if it has to show me the data source details. Okay. From the data source details, when you read through, it will tell you for implementing this data source, please read this note and travel. They give you all the information here. But before you implement the data source, you have to go through that note, OSS note. So how do I go through that note? Like I'll go to what? Service.sap.com. Okay. Then when you go in, there is no link here. What is notes? I'll launch SAP note and KBS search. Okay. And here you can start specifying that number and say read through this. But నాకు అక్కడ డేటా సోర్స్ ఓపెన్ కావడంలే. అట్లీస్ట్ ఐ వాంట్ అది డేటా సోర్స్ డీటెయిల్స్ చూపించాలి. దెన్ at least some logistics, because I want to show you how it refers to the note number. Now like this, it has to give me data source details like same others also. When you get in, but before you do this, you have to read complete information about this. Okay, start reading through, go down, it will give fields. It might say extractor logic. How does the logic work in the v date u field has the same name as update date of a statistics update in data source and so on. So however, this is the field contains the requested delivery date sold to party. If you read a field that provides update date of statistics update function, instructions in this, what is it says? Note number. So go to service marketplace, open that note and read through. And how does row cancel? There is a row cancel field. What all values it has got? Blank, X, R. You getting what I'm saying? It's about reading the details of the data source and start implementing it. Did you understand this? Very, very important aspect. When see, that's what I'm saying. So you have to get into plan up things, purchasing some functional areas, and catch all of those data sources. If you know which data source to be used for what. If you're reading through, if you can document information about some 10 to 15 data sources, like say 2 for purchasing, inventory, then some sales orders, delivery, billing, cost center accounting, and some say GL, asset, FI general ledger, asset accounting, AR, AP, any interview you can bring. Any interviews, 100% job. Okay, so what you can do what you can do now is, each one of you, we cannot really become strong in every data source in short time. That is where you ask me, right? If I finish this course, can I compete with 8 years experience guy or 6 years experience? This is what makes difference. Till now, knowing about Cube, ODS, InfoSource, data source, everything is same. Understanding the functional part, understanding more data sources, how it works, is what makes difference from person to person. Okay. So how we can fill this gap is, each one of you take one data source, read complete details, try to do more research on the data source, from which tables is the data coming from, how the delta mechanism work, what kind of data does it give you, what are the different fields I have got, just general information on the data sources. Now for this data source I have to use Q delta, any important voices note number for this data source. If one person is spending time on one single data source researching, obviously can we get this out? So now then you document that. Like we are 20 guys, right? If you spend, each one of you spend on one data source, we get out 20 data sources, and each one will start presenting the data source, and everyone will learn. Researching will take time, but when someone explains me, it does take only 5 minutes, 10 minutes to understand. Can you do? Yeah. So we have 3 days gap, right? So each one of you can take some data source and do research on it and prepare on it, and prepare some presentation. Then we can go through that, and that is what makes you real time. And real time ki fake, that is what difference is. Can we do? Now just take what I am doing for each of the different kind of logic. I am just giving one data source, and someone of you pick this up. I want someone for this cost center accounting, because this will give an excellent logic. These two I want. One is 0 COOM CCA 1. I want someone to take this data source, this cost center accounting, with more of pseudo delta mechanism and how it is implemented, what is the kind of cube it will be loaded. You want to take this 0 COOM CC underscore 1 0 CO OM underscore CC underscore 9. These two are the data sources which we mainly use when you are working out with cost center accounting. Okay, can you take these two data sources? Someone on this 0 FI underscore GL4. Who wants to take GL? Anyone who's BCom student who can understand some part of finance? No choice. 0 FI GL4, 0 FI GL1. Okay. If you can figure out this, also excellent. 0 FI GL10. Because for GL there are some two concepts. New GL and concept. New general ledgers. Okay. So that is what we deal with 10. So if you can deal with GL1, 10 and what? 4. GL1, 10 and 4 is yours. Okay. And then let's say AR, account receivables. AR4 and AR1. Who wants to take it? AR1 and AR4. Okay. FI AR1, FI AR4. FIAP1, FIAP4. You both will be more, you three will have more relation. Okay. Because this is accounts payable is with supplier and account receivables will be with customer. Okay. Asset accounting, I want only this one. 0 FI AA20. Chinna simple. See, asset accounting just like what is the value of asset. And when the depreciation is posted, what is the current value? Current stock value, CSV, current stock value is what, current asset value is what important in this. Ante, the problem is, see, let's say I acquire an asset today with value 5 lakhs and I keep posting depreciation every month. So, asset value is in one record, but the depreciations will be in multiple records. That must be grouped into single record. That is the logic in this asset account. You will have concept of splitting one record to multiple records into the asset account. Okay. 0 FI AA20. Just get this 11, 12, 20. See, 11 plus 12 is 20. So if you can understand 11 and 12, obviously 20 is simpler. Okay. I mean, Nikidam 2LIs 13 VDHDR and 13 VD item. This is billing, normal sales extractors, VBRK, VBRP tables, and this will be for you. 2LIs 13 VDHDR, VD item. These two data sources. Need to explain. If you really understand, you should be able to explain that position. How the document is posted, like minimum, you don't have to maintain complete record, at least document number, because in the billing you will have some fields called subtotal 1, subtotal 2, subtotal 3. What is the meaning of those fields? I know in the interviews they are not expecting so depth, but we are getting to extreme. You can handle any interview. That's the point. Okay. The next one is 12 VCHDR, 12 VCITM. Okay. Nikida sales VAITM and VAS. Now look at this one. I want someone to take this now. VHDR, VAITM, VASL. These three similar. Header, item, and schedule. You're taking it. I want. This is very important in the real. We use this pricing conditions a lot. VAK01, KONP, KONV. Now you will take this. VAKON, VASTH, VASTI, shipping schedule lines. You both will have more related together. Yeah. You got this data source? See. VASTH and VASTI, sales shipping schedule lines. Okay. And KON, this is the data source for you. At least you should be in a position to tell me, okay, we use this data source to extract this kind of data. And what is it? How does the data look like? So this data can be used to do this kind of analysis. That's what I'm expecting. and this data source has got some delta mechanism, timestamp or queued wise. What kind of queued is used, and any node, specific node numbers to be referred when implementing this data source. Any specific settings need to be performed to implement this data source. You have to do research on this data source. Yeah. Next, no pa. BX, BF, UM. Inventory. Nikadu. BX, BF, UM. Nikema appudu GL4 1 tail. అన్ని చేయలేవు, ఇంపాసిబుల్. నువ్వు GL1, GL4, GL10 నేను ఇన్వర్టర్ స్టార్ట్ చేసినట్టు లెట్ హిమ్ డూ. సో BX, BF, UM will be yours. Next, someone should take this header and items 0 to HDR, 0 to ITM. Purchasing item and purchasing header. Okay. Someone on the project system. Yes. COPA we will generate. We don't use any of the ready-made ones. FI, this investment, don't worry. Personal, there is time management, personal administration, PA. PA. Yeah. Now this one. Someone has to take this one. I think you can take. 0 HR PA 01456. This is all about HR administration, where you deal with head count of the employees, actions. No one will go through. You have to get in, start spending some time, you learn more. I am telling you, if each one of you can do, you don't need so many books. At least the data source what you have taken, if it become perfect, you can project only those data sources into your profile books. You don't have to get it all. You can say I worked only on HR administration only. You can, what's wrong in it? You can say I worked only on billing header and item data sources only in my project. Anything wrong? Whatever you commit, you should be 100% justifying it. That is the point. Okay? Clear on this bus? Nugudi batch kada? 0 HR PY1 and PY3 payroll database. 0 HR PY1, PY3. Okay. I know not even one person will do, I know, but still why I have given you, at least you will know the names of the data sources which you have to focus. If you can focus on these set of data sources, you get every logic. Because I have just given a variation which has got different logics. So when you go through all these data sources, you get to understand pseudo delta, you get to understand timestamp mechanism, full uploads, all kind of logics you will get to know. So you understand the data sources, make a small PowerPoint. What is the data source name? What is the purpose of this data source? What kind of data are we extracting in? Okay? Okay. Then what are the base tables from which this data source extracts the data? What is the function model name for it? Where can you get the data source details? Root source. From that you got to get into the function model, get into the logic and find out from which table it is getting data from. And what are the T codes, how the transactions are created into those tables. Okay. Then let's say you extract data from this data, any specific settings are needed in ECC. How does the delta mechanism work? Any specific nodes to be implemented for it. After replicating this data source to BW, how do I compare what are the data I have got in BW, how do I compare it in ECC? Do I have any T code in ECC where I can compare my data? For inventory I might have some T code to compare the stocks. Do I have anything like that? After loading cost center accounting, do I have any T code where I can run my cost center accounting reports to compare my reports in BW? I want that information. And I know you don't know what is cost center, but go to Google, try to read it. What is first? That's what, if someone gives me like this, first I'll try to understand what is cost center. What do you mean by cost center accounting? Then this, what do you mean by cost and allocations? What is costing and what is allocations? Try to read through. If I don't know, I'll call up somewhere I'll find my friend who is into FICO, I'll contact him. If you want, I can give you the contact now. A mobile number, mobile. If any one of you have some functional doubts, if you want to understand what is allocation, what is cost, I'll give you one number. You can always call him and ask him any functional doubt. Okay. There is a friend of mine, Ashok. Okay, you can always call him. Hmm. 9036-027972. Because you may not understand every functional part of it. 9036-027972. But when you call, you should put 0. He is in Bangalore. But when you call him, Pratap చెప్పినాడు డౌట్ చెప్పు అట్లంటే ఎవడు చెప్పడు నాకు డౌట్ ఉంది కొద్దిగా అట్లా దూకుంటూ అడగలను. ఓకేనా? His name is Ashok. Okay. And if something relevant to payroll or HR, I have my brother 98499-22548. Raghu. His name is Raghu. Anything relevant to SAP HR, he will help you out. He can give you detailed information. Raghu. Number 98499-22548. Phone number. Yeah.